Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to review the common formula errors within Microsoft Excel. There's about 7 really common errors within Excel that if you know how to address them, you'll be able to move more quickly as you perform your FP&A, financial modeling, or just analysis in Excel. So I think it's important to understand what each of the errors mean and be able to tackle them and resolve them accordingly. So in the table here, we have a set of 7 formula errors. We've got in the column next to the error message the problem that's associated with them, and then similarly to the right we have the fix in order to resolve the error message. So let's look at each independently and go through an example for them. So in row 7 here we can see that there's the hashtag error message. The hashtag error message, the problem with that is simply the column is not wide enough to show all of the contents of the cell. That one's actually the easiest fix. The only thing that you need to do there in order to resolve the problem is just expand the width of the column. So let's pretend in cell C3, I'm going to type in a formula here. And when I type in the formula and it produces a result, the column is not wide enough to showcase the entire string of text or numbers, and therefore it's giving me the hashtag error message. To resolve this, the only thing that I need to do is to expand column C's width, and as you can see, the issue is resolved. So that one's easy. Let's move on to the second error type. The second error type is the hashtag div divided by 0 exclamation mark error message. The problem with this is the number was divided by a 0 or a blank cell, and therefore mathematically it just doesn't make sense. Excel knows this and it's producing a resulting error as div divided by 0 exclamation mark. So as you can imagine, the only way to fix this is to update the formula so that the number is not being divided by 0 or a blank cell. You can take a look down here on row 18, an example of this. In the example here, we're dividing 14 by 0, and the formula is then producing a hashtag div divided by 0 exclamation mark error. If we take a look at the formula, the only thing that we need to do in order to resolve this error is take 14 divided by 1 or something logical. Moving on to the third type of error message in Microsoft Excel is the hashtag name question mark error message. The problem with this one is that the text of the function name is not recognized by Excel, and this is often caused by misspelling the function names. The fix for this is simply fixing the spelling of the function name. Let's take a look at an example in row 20. So in row 20, you can see that I misspelled VLOOKUP. I put VLOOKU instead of VLOOKUP. And so in cell D20, it's producing an error message. But the only thing that I need to do in order to resolve this is to change the VLOOKUP formula. I'm going to do an illustration right here. Let's say I wanted to look up cell C19 and look it up in cell D19 and produce a 1. We can see here that the formula now works. And so again, the only thing that you need to do when you see that name formula error is to make sure that you've correctly spelled the formula itself. Let's move on to the hashtag value exclamation mark error message. So this one is unique in the sense that it requires you to resolve an error within a formula. So the formula includes cells that contain different data types. That's what the issue is. So in order to correct this error message, you have to actually correct the inputs of the formula so that they all use a common data type. Let's take a look at an example using the index formula on row 22. As you can see in row 22, we've got the index formula and then open parentheses, comma, comma, 1. Obviously, there's some information missing there. You're supposed to always fill out the formula completely. We put in 2 blanks and then a 1. So the Microsoft Excel formula is not complete and it's producing a result of hashtag value exclamation mark as an error. In order to resolve this, we can update the formula. I'm going to completely fill out the index here, and let's say we want to index columns C and D, and I want it to return the second column and second row's contents. I can put in 2, 2, and when I do that, it actually produces column 2 and row 2 of the table that I selected, and it returns the resulting text that's contained within there. So again, the error that initially appeared is now resolved simply by updating the contents of the formula. The next error message that is common in Microsoft Excel is the hashtag ref exclamation mark error message. This occurs when there's a cell reference that's no longer valid or doesn't exist. For example, if you delete a cell that was referred to and dependent on in a formula. And so the fix for this is just to update the formula to remove the hashtag ref error and to change the input location. Let's take a look at an example starting in row 24. As you can see, we've got in row 26 the hashtag ref exclamation mark error message. And if we open up the formula by pressing F2, we can just see that the formula is actually trying to sum up 3 items. The reason why it's showing in hashtag ref exclamation mark in the second item of the items that are being summed up is because I actually deleted that second item. And I'll show you how that happens. Let's say I want to insert a row right here, and I'm going to put in a 5. Now 4 plus 4 plus 5 is 13. Let's say I'm going to sum them each individually here, and it produces a result of 13. But what happens if I now delete row 25, which contains that 5? Well, it's going to produce an error message because it can no longer find row 25 that had existed with that 5 in it. And so in order to resolve it, I'm just going to update the cell here, and I'm going to update the formula to remove the old reference. The formula now produces a result of 8, which is the sum of the 2 numbers above it. Next, let's look at the hashtag num exclamation mark error message. This error appears when the formula or function contains invalid numerical values or functions. The way to fix this is by reviewing the formula and making sure the numeric values or formula are valid. If required, remove the $sign or hashtag sign. So let's take a look at row 28 where this is occurring as an example. So in row 28, we're actually using the dated if formula. This is a formula used to calculate the number of days between 2 dates, by the way. And you're supposed to put the oldest date first and then the newest date second, and then return a result. So in this case, I put January 1st, 2019, as you can see in cell D28. I put that first, and then I put the older date in cell D29. And so what happens is the formula is just not going to work. It needs to be the oldest date first and then the newest date second. At the end of the formula, as the last part of the syntax, I put the comma M in quotations, which means I want to calculate the number of months between the 2 dates. As you can see, the result in cell D30 is a hashtag num exclamation mark error. But the way in which I can fix this is just by rearranging the formula, put D29 ahead of D28 so that it's properly going to calculate the interval between the two. And as you can see, the result of doing that is such that the formula now works, and we know that there's 9 months between the 2 dates. Let's take a look at the 7th example here of an error message in Excel, and that's the hashtag null error message. This error message occurs when the intersection of 2 areas do not actually intersect or cross. And so the fix for this is to update the formula to ensure that there actually is crossover between the 2 dates. And so the fix for this is actually to update the formula to ensure that there actually is crossover between the data for the formula. Let's take a look at an example in row 32. So in row 32, we can see that what I did in the cell was I just typed equals E31 and space E30. That's not an actual valid formula in Excel, and so that's why I'm getting a formula error. The way in which I'd want to approach resolving this error is just by making the formula accurate and making sure there's an intersection. And the intersection that I'm going to create is just a plus symbol between the two cells. So I'm going to add them together. And when I use the plus symbol, I can see that the error message goes away. The formula now attempts to add what's in cell D33 and D34. In this case, it's blank, so it just results in a 0. If I were to type a 1 into each of them, I can see that it results in a 2. So again, the goal of this lesson was to show you some of the more common error messages in Microsoft Excel. Hopefully you have a better understanding of them now, and when you see those error messages appear the next time you're doing some analysis in Excel, you'll be able to understand the root cause of them and be able to resolve them more efficiently, given your background on what they mean and the steps you need to take to resolve them. Hey guys, thanks for watching this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe from you. And if you want to learn more about Microsoft Excel, check out these videos above. And don't forget to check out our website, commercecurve.com, where we have lots of in-depth finance and accounting courses available with full training workbooks. All of our courses come with complete workbooks of lessons, examples, pre-built financial models, and training video. Hope to see you there.